welcome to a howling episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast, because this week we're going to talk about dog movies and movie dogs. That's the best way to describe today's topic. Dog movies and movie dogs, because we're all dog families in our own way. And I'll say that Mom just made a great recommendation that it was an I'm not crying, you're crying situation for me that I just watched with the kids, called Rescued by Ruby. It's a Netflix movie starring Grant Gustin and Scott Wolf, a true story.
Based on a true story.
About a guy from the Rhode Island State Troopers who rescues a dog and turns it into a canine dog. And no one can fight back the heartwarmingness of this movie. And it was delightful. And it made me think, what makes a good...
I don't
know if we talked about this, but what makes a good dog movie and what makes a good movie dog? So starting with that question, Lily. Or Becky is either raising her finger or she's on another Zoom.
No, I was trying to remember. There's a new movie coming out about I don't know what it's about, but it's something about in the military and someone's got to deliver a dog.
There's a new Channing, and Lily's Tatum. Like, let me raise my finger and say, I don't really
Becky,
know.
I am gonna
Lily,
answer.
Becky.
I'm
That's
getting
Becky.
there. You're so obnoxious.
That's Becky, not
Do you
me.
want me to? Do you need something for a new cold open? I will curse if you push me.
But Becky, I asked a specific question too.
I'm trying to answer
and
it.
You raised your finger to say, I think there might be a movie out. I don't know what it's called.
I was not listening to anything
question.
you said. I was not listening to anything you said.
I know. Now that I realize now I'm looking
back.
I'm looking back at what your face was doing. You weren't raising your finger to participate. You were literally just trying to remember the thing you were talking about.
Yeah, I was I'm looking.
I could answer the question.
I'm going to have Lily answer the question. I will come back to you, and you can tell us about your new movie that you have.
I'm looking it up right
Channing
now.
Tatum and a robot dog. Lily.
But that's a different one.
It's fundamental for me that the dog doesn't die. Like, you're asking to me what a good dog...
That eliminates 50% of all the dog movies.
Like Hashido, the one with Richard Gere. I don't know what it's called in the States. It has a different name in the States.
Oh.
It's
that Dr. T.
It's the one with no, but it's
Mr.
the one
Jones?
with Richard. Just look up IMDb Richard Gere and look for the one with the Japanese husky type dog in it. It's based on a real true story about this professor in Japan who suddenly dies.
Hachi,
and the
dog's tail. Okay.
Hachi
Hachiko
is that
the
not
real name of the movie.
Hachiko, not Hashito, but Hachiko was close. And the Richard Gere movie is so goddamn depressing because his real story is so depressing that I don't want to see that shit. Even Marley and Me, when the dog dies at the end, enough. At least he was old, but it's I can't.
I mean,
I'm not here for it. I'm just not. I want a Benji that's rescuing people. I want a Homeward Bound where they all reunite at the end.
So I think you're gonna like this new Channing Tatum movie. It's about him and a dog who have to go on a road trip. Him and his dog are paired together against their will. And they have to go on some road trip. And I think they're both vets.
Dog, by the way.
It's called Dog. They're both vets. I think it's a bit of a
what do you mean they're both
situation.
Oh, both the dog and him are I thought you meant veterinarians.
No, Lily.
I was what do you mean? The army, I get it, but our military vets. But for a second, I was they're both veterinarians.
Does the dog have a stethoscope? Does it perform surgery?
It seems to reunite him with Kevin Nash, who was in the Magic Mike movies with him.
I was just about to ask,
you
is
should
he
see
shirtless?
This movie.
Sounds great. That sounds great.
Movie.
I am 100% for this is to me what a good dog movie is.
Assuming
something
the dog lives.
This. Yeah, assuming the dog lives.
I think the dog lives.
So that
if you're telling me that Channing Tatum dies, but the dog lives, it's fine.
So all dogs go to heaven off the table.
I hate that movie.
That's
put it on the list.
And dogs.
I put it on the list because I fucking hate that movie.
Okay,
it's terrible.
And that's in the title.
I was adding something to this.
The dog's gonna die. Okay, and that also. I mean, I never really saw Old Yeller, but everyone knows they shoot the dog So I'm just once
He
you
gets
know
rabies.
Why do they
He gets
shoot the
Because he gets
dog?
that, 'cause
rabies
after like a
at the
life of
end.
being a really
I'm
good dog,
very
he gets
afraid
rabies,
of
and then they shoot
rabies.
him behind the shed or something like that. Like,
So
Right.
awful.
Like, thanks. You know what I
another dead
mean?
dog one. People actually don't necessarily remember this very well, but one of the reasons why I really don't like Turner and Hooch is that dog gets shot at the end.
Shot at the end. Yeah.
Dies, saving his owner. I mean, it's a valiant thing, but I feel like that's a little bit of a misstep, Disney or Touchstone Pictures.
Or Touchstone. Or
I remember Alon went to the premiere of that movie when we were kids, and he had a huge Turner and Hooch poster in his room.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that. Anyway, so
Okay,
that's for
so
me
that's for the
to
two.
personally. Yeah.
All right. So Becky, what makes a good dog movie for you? I agree with the not dying dog movie thing.
Right, and it could be like it could be tension, and you could be worried about them and stuff like that.
All right.
They could almost die. But
My
no.
number one thing that makes a good dog movie is dog comedy. Like
Okay.
a dog
Slapstick.
like a dog covering
Step-
its eyes with its paws while the human does something stupid.
So you mean like
Or
dog
like a dog
acting?
smelling a fart. It's like a dog smelling a fart. Like that.
Dog acting is my
Dog
number
acting.
one. Dog acting is my number
Yeah.
one. My number two is voiceover for dogs, but like
Oh.
not cartoons.
Oh,
Like I want
did you
a
have to have
Homeward
Look Who's Talking
Bound.
Now?
I
You have to
want
add.
a
Look
Look
Who's
Who's
Talking
Talking
Now.
part,
Now that's on the
part
list.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Part now.
So number one, dog acting. Specifically, if they're doing something where they're either embarrassed for the human or doing something silly. And if not that, then and I don't want to see like moving CG lips.
Lips.
I just
You
want to
want
hear
CG dog
the
lips?
model and the amazing way that they communicate to each other in full sentences.
You want like the Meryl Streeps of, and like the Billy Crystals of dog acting.
Yeah, I want that. But I mostly want
a dog that doesn't need
performance.
CG. It doesn't. Need
I want
the
a
lips.
dog
Right.
Okay.
reacting, giving me its performance to the humans. That's my favorite thing.
I would say I don't know if I ever thought hard about what makes a good dog movie, but this movie, Rescued by Rubney, has me so emotional that it's really. had
What's
me
it
reevaluate.
about? Are you going to give us a synopsis? I'm so curious.
Lily,
here.
it's amazing. It's almost as if Becky is not on this podcast.
Oh, did you already say what it's about?
I
Did they kill the
opened
dog
up
at
with
the
a
end?
description about the dog.
I wasn't listening. I was trying to
It's
figure out this
about
Channing
a
Tatum movie.
A state trooper who
Who
gets a
Oh,
rescue dog
right.
and
Yeah,
turns him
right. Turns it into a police dog.
Okay, so you know the answer. I'm glad.
But
Okay,
why is
so-
that
I'm glad.
emotional?
Because it's about this guy believing in his dog and his dog believing in him. Okay, that's what it's about. It's about everyone believing in the dog. So aside from that, I think that a good dog movie, I think, has unlikely friendships between either humans and dogs or
Oh,
dogs
that's
or other
agreed.
animals.
Mhm.
And that's the beauty, like Homeward Bound, which is to me
Right.
in the pantheon.
I don't think Homeward Bound works
That-
if it's just two dogs. You need
right.
the cat.
It's Sally Field as the like
As the cat.
cream, like
Right.
snooty cat.
Like
is what makes it
Benji,
beautiful.
yeah, Benji and little kids fine, but I love when Benji talks to that old man that calls him Sam. Like that to me is gold. So for me, the unlikely friendships, the anything like that, I think really works for me really well, and also the dog not dying. I'm not watching a dog not dying situation. All right, let's go through some of the. I categorize these. Let's go through these and see if any of these rank as among your favorite movie dogs. So I wanted to start with funny dogs because this is a whole other level of dog comedy, and that is Best in Show. I think we should start with a
I mean, but to be fair, it's the
masterpiece.
humans that are the funniest part of the movie. No?
Well, the dogs. Okay, that's a good point. That's an interesting point. The humans are really funny, but that's a great dog movie. Right?
it is a great dog movie.
It's a great.
It's
the
a great
dogs
dog movie.
enabled the humans to be very funny.
And then I'll say the. This is a really
Right, because that's
this is-
not funny as dogs. That's funny as people about dogs.
Yeah.
Okay. And I would say that here's one that I find really, really funny that is wildly like inappropriate and R-rated, but it is Colossus from Van Wilder. That
That's-
dog is
He's-
just
I would
so
say he's
funny
iconic.
throughout the whole movie. That dog is so funny. And it's funny how it seems the bulldog is the drunk dog, because in the movie Ski Patrol, they have a dog also, and the dog is like hungover at one point in the movie.
Because also when you put an English bulldog in a movie, you're 50% on your way to the comedy. Like those dogs are so ridiculous looking that
they do look like
the job is half
partying
done
all night. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
Now, this one is not a real dog, so I don't know if he even ranks, but he is a legend, and I didn't want to leave him out. Robert Smigel's Triumph, the insult comic dog. You know who I'm talking about?
I know who you're talking about, but
like,
I don't have any, like, I've never laughed at that.
Okay.
You have to really show me a clip.
I think
I know what you're talking about.
I think who's missing from this is Tika the Iggy.
But Tika the Iggy's not a movie. She's not in a movie dog.
Instagram dog. It's an influencer.
I feel like these days Instagram reels are basically the same thing as Netflix shows. So what's the difference?
Well, I mean, even if they're better, I can't. I mean, I love Tika the Iggy. That is a great
Tika
dog.
the Iggy is a great dog.
It's a great dog, and it's from Montreal. And so I have much respect for Tika the Iggy. Tika the Iggy should get its own movie, to be honest. I think
I'm sure.
Let's get Tika the Iggy a movie. I tried to order a cameo from
Tika.
Tika the Iggy, and they wrote me a very nice note back saying that they're like too busy.
She doesn't talk. Like she doesn't talk.
They narrate the dog. And
they're
then,
like, wait, psst, she's not really able to
Well,
talk.
they couldn't like do a fake voiceover?
No, I'm sure they could.
I guess, but I guess they, for some, maybe they have a contract for a movie, and they're like, you can't do any cameos now. Another comedic one that I really love is the whole concept of the Bowsers in I Love You Man. I was rewatching I Love You Man the other day during this COVID stretch, and
such a great sick day movie.
When he says, what's the name of your dog? And he says, Anwar Sadat, because he looks like Anwar Sadat. And then like later they have the Time magazine picture of him. And then he starts talking about the Bowsers, which are the people that the dogs start to look like each other. I find that so funny.
That's a great moment. That's a great dog moment.
So, all right. So Tika the Iggy, actually, back to Becky's point, Tika the Iggy is funnier than all of these dogs. Adam Sandler's Meatball and then Matzo Ball were wonderful dogs, but they didn't, I don't know if they starred in anything really, or they were just his dogs. You know, he did like a short about one of them. And then I always found the dog, these were sort of talking pugs, I think, in Men in Black and Little Nicky, both had sort of foul mouth talking pugs.
Oh, yeah.
I like those a lot. All right, how about the old timey dogs? Who speaks to you from the old timey dogs? You know, like there's Toto, Old Yeller, Lassie.
Honestly, none of them.
Rin-tin-tin, as Mom used to always pronounce Rin-tin-tin with her.
Ring-ding-ding. None of them.
Rin-tin-tin.
Mom will definitely say Rin-tin-tin because he was like iconic in her childhood.
I think none of them speak to me. I think it's more like if I had to have one of them as a pet, who would be my pet?
Oh, Toto.
Yeah, I'm going to say Toto
Lassie,
for sure.
Allie had a collie growing up. Allie
and they're very smart, but I'm very allergic to that long hair. It's going to get everywhere. It's going to be so gross to clean up. There's so much hair. Imagine when the dog gets wet. Oh,
I know a few people.
Definitely, I would pick a Toto if I had to pick between it. Clearly not Old Yeller.
I'm definitely putting that dog in my purse. I love a Toto situation.
A little basket situation.
Exactly. Well, like a modern day basket for Toto.
So the old timey, I mean, Lassie saved people on a regular basis. So Toto uncovered the Wizard of Oz. That was his big contribution, right?
Right.
And he was so cute and tiny.
And if there wasn't for him, who would she have said we're not in Kansas anymore to? He's fundamental to the
dog.
plot.
It's pretty cool that she gets to take her dog with her on this trip.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. That dog doesn't have a leash.
But he's so cool.
Yeah, but my dog doesn't need a leash. My dog doesn't need a leash. She's got great recall skills.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, let's talk about the 80s when we grew up. I have some specific 80s dogs. Although I guess Benji is maybe a 70s dog, but to me, he's an 80s dog.
Because we watched the tape. Lily, I need to hear from Lily on Benji. Why did you love that movie so much? Why did you make us watch it so much?
Does it hold up?
What was it?
First of all, you rewatched that movie. 30% of it, and it must have been the first movie with a dog as the main character ever or something, because 30% of the movie is slow motion B-roll of Benji just running in the field.
Running in a field.
With like 70s kind of background music playing. There's a lot of the movie that is just him, and then Tiffany is the name of the other dog. They when they become friends, there's just like it's like just watching these two dogs, but they're not even really acting. They're just dogs.
No, and like they have them like go through a window, down a ramp, around a house. Like clearly there's sort of like trained obstacle course that they've learned to do.
It's not super. It's not even
not great dog acting the way Becky.
Right. So there's a lot of times where like a dog's.
I need one of these moves.
But the movie itself,
Becky
right?
just covered her nose with her hands.
Components. There's three components to that movie. There is like home videos on like 35 millimeter of like dogs running to 70s music. Then there is Benji's buddies about town, which includes the old man, and I think there's like a mailman, and then there's
like the neighborhood family, peeps,
neighborhood peeps, and then the family that he's friends with, the family who the mother I think is either dead or passed away, and or left or something, and the father's a doctor or something, and there's the sassy nanny that takes care of them, right? So there's all of that, but then the second, like the main stakes of the film is that
the kids are kidnapped.
Like Charles Manson like 70s like murder
maniac.
Yeah, like gets the daughter, gets this young woman who is friends with the family, like known to the family, to kidnap the children and hold them for ransom in a
terrifying
old house.
It's
and
terrifying.
These guys all look like they belong in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like they look like those like in a different movie. This would be like Rob Zombie directed this movie about a murder cult that recognized, and it's beyond terrifying. These kids are straight up kidnapped, and then the woman embeds herself in the house that's looking for the kids so she can spy on things, and then in the end Benji, so that movie is,
I don't know, feels like
insane. And then there was the sequel, there's
seven other there's 7 other Benji movies,
but for the love of
Benji, too much
Benji,
time being dedicated to discussing
Benji.
Okay. Well, For the Love of Benji is a spy movie where Benji gets like gassed.
I think we should spend more time discussing how consistently adorable it is when a dog is laying on the floor and it takes its 2 paws and it covers its nose and its eyes because it's embarrassed for the thing the human's done. I know I brought it up already, but every time I imagine
is there an
it,
80s movie that comes to mind? I would say like an underrated one that came out at the same time as Turner and Hooch was K9 with Jim Belushi.
Oh, I definitely like that one a lot. But I will say immediately what came to mind, I'm looking at your list of 80s dog movies, very slobbery.
Very slobbery.
Like it's a very slobbery era. Like I think in the
but so is the 90s because you have Beethoven.
Yeah, but you have Beethoven, but you also have there's a lot of other things.
Slobbery dogs. That's right.
But
except for Benji, he keeps it together.
No, but he's 70s.
He's 70s. No, but I don't. I think. Wait, can I just say? Becky asked, why did you love that movie? Or Shy asked. Think about this. At that time, you couldn't. If you were a dog lover like myself since birth, there was no YouTube for you to watch funny dog videos. That would have been like my 100% jam as a kid. Like I would have just done that. So this was we didn't have a dog at that point. This was my only access to watching a dog run in a field or around a house or up a ramp. So this was, even though it was actually, that movie was pretty scary to me. It was like my access to like watching a dog be carefree.
I think that's a good point. Right? Because that's what you had access to. So if you wanted to watch a dog, you had to watch dog and kidnapping.
I love that.
Children.
I love that explanation.
That's a great explanation. Now K9, my favorite scene in that movie though is when he can't get the dog to take a bath, and so he puts him through the
car wash.
The car wash. Amazing.
How much did you as a kid just want to go through a car wash with the top down?
So much.
It seemed like it was unfair that they wouldn't let you.
Is that scene in Yes Day realistic, or wouldn't your car get ruined?
In Yes Day? I'm sure
Day.
Your car gets ruined. Yeah.
There's no way your car would be ruined.
Cars are okay.
I think your cars are ruined.
Right, let's talk 90s dogs. Oh wait, the dog who stopped the war. We have to talk about that. Sorry.
I don't know what that one is.
Okay, so the dog who stopped the war. Okay, the dog who stopped the war is a Quebec. We all had to watch it.
No, I do.
No matter what, you watched it like once or twice a year on like a boring day at school in French class. And
La guerre des tucs.
La guerre des tucs. La guerre des tucs, which is the war of the knitted winter hats. And not only that, it stars Patrick Jouard or Philippe Jouard. What's his name? Double check
stars Cédric Jourde.
Cédric Jourde. Okay, so Cédric Jourde, who was like a young actor, plays like
he's famous, yeah.
He plays sort of like the bad boy of the group, and there's like a giant snowball fight that takes place over the course of an entire winter. It's like a massive capture the flag, which is kind of a cool idea. And there's the nerd
kids. It's a great concept for a movie.
Cédric Jourde's kid, but so first of all, like the end of that movie, the dog, you know why the dog stops the war? Because these kids are all having this massive snowball fight, and then the snow castle caves in and kills their dog.
Kills the dog, and then they stop fighting.
The kids all
and it's a Saint Bernard.
Then Cédric Jourde was my African politics teacher at McGill. No joke.
No way.
Tell me you asked him about this movie.
I did not ask him about it, but I did well in the class. So it was a good class. He was a good teacher.
And just point of information for our listeners. La guerre des tucs actually translates to the war of hats.
I said that already.
Oh, he did?
This is the best. This is the best episode. Becky's here on delay.
I really need a nap.
No, it's okay because Becky's repeating stuff for people who missed it. You don't have to
exactly. So if people jumped into the podcast late,
I want you to know I'm not embarrassed. I don't need you to edit this out. I'm having a day.
So Cédric Jourde became a big time professor. Anyways, okay. All right. So let's talk about some 90s dogs, because I feel like it's at this point that I really wasn't paying attention to dog movies, but you two were like,
this was I was deep in it. I was Lily, Becky and I were deep in this.
We quoted one of these dogs yesterday.
I still do. I still quote but I think we did my favorite dog from this list. And I'm just going to run down the list quick. And I'm sure there's more, but these are the ones that come to mind. Beethoven, the original, Homeward Bound, then Milo from The Mask, Bingo, the coolest circus pup in town. I don't know that movie. That's from
that's a recommendation from the great Gato.
But I haven't seen that movie.
I have to see that movie though, because
you do. White Fang and Look Who's Talking Now. And I'll just say that maybe this dog isn't my favorite from this list, but the most quotable line I use and Becky uses is get the keys, not the cheese.
No, Milo, put down the cheese.
Oh,
pick up the keys.
We just watched that movie.
Not the cheese, the keys.
I literally said this to Mom yesterday.
Thing ever. It was the best.
I was asking Mom where the keys were, and she's like, "I put the cheese away," and I'm like, "No, I need the keys." And she's like, "The cheese is in the fridge," and I go, "Mom, put down the cheese."
Get the keys.
So some fun facts about this movie, because I just rewatched it with the kids, which
does it hold up? Is it good? Do they laugh?
Yeah, they laugh.
Loved that movie.
But this is an incredibly 90s movie. First of all, Cameron Diaz's first thing. It has that weird
that's a yellow
or Roger Rabbit mix of cartoons,
zoot suits, and yellow and green.
Swing music was really in.
And there's cartoon vulgarity and slapstick and murder mixed with regular human life. And so the kids were like, "This is a strange movie," but we enjoyed it. They enjoyed the overall thing. But again, here you have this movie that's somewhat dark in concept, and then there is a lot of dog slapstick throughout the movie. The dog,
Milo is a great
great
character.
Now, I did a little bit of digging though about this movie, because I was like, so the director of this movie, what he's also famous for directing is Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, The Dream Warriors, which is
how did he get the mask?
Weird.
And the remake of The Blob. And he did The Eraser with Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Scorpion King, The Rock's first big movie.
That's
and
right.
So, but anyways, so Milo, clearly, that's a great one that you picked. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other one is the dogs from Homeward Bound for me.
I would just say Homeward Bound. I just
rewatched that.
I think 25 times as a kid. I love that. It's Michael J. Fox. Who else are the other voices?
It's Michael J. Fox, Sally Field,
Don
and
Amici.
then some Don Amici. I was going to say someone old.
Who?
Don Amici.
Don Amici.
One of the
if you
guys
Google
from
his
Cocoon.
face, Yeah,
I mean,
you'll
he
not
was like an
recognize his
old-timey,
face.
I thought it
very
was going to be like
famous.
Kiefer Sutherland. That would have been my guess.
No, he's
That would've
very
been a good
old.
guess. Oh,
No, it would not
Well-
have been a good guess.
I don't know. But
He was like
Michael
30
J.
when that movie
Fox,
came out.
Michael J. Fox as
Sounded like he was
that
old
dog
then.
is one of the best. It's one of the best
As the puppy.
dog voices of all time.
And,
I mean, that.
Sally Field as a snooty, fancy cat
But
is amazing.
remember when she drowns in the river and then they save her and they pluck her out?
No,
She's gonna-
she gets plucked out by a guy. They lose her in the river. They think she's dead.
lose her.
And the
Oh,
old
she's
man
all
in like
wet
the
and-
cabin
I
takes
just
care
always,
of her.
even as a kid, I was fascinated. How could they possibly have shot this movie with these like 3 animals
I have
in the
to say,
forest?
It holds up better than any of the CGI bullshit that they have in
So
movies now.
good.
I don't know what
Dog
torture they had to do to
acting.
those
Huh?
dogs.
Huh? Go back to
Those
my
three
original
animals.
point. What
Becky's
makes a
point,
good dog
practical
movie?
dog acting.
Good
is-
dog acting.
These 3 dogs acted
dog acting.
fabulously.
I
Fabulous.
two
mean, if they
dogs
could
and a
have
cat.
remade the
Sorry,
Lion
2 dogs,
King,
the 3
with-
animals.
they could have
With real
remade the Lion
animals.
King with real lions and zebras. We would have
It
never
would have
had.
been better. Never had
no
the
one would have
problem
been
that we
freaked
had.
out about their dead
No
eye.
one would have been worried.
All right, so the 2000s is
This
a
is where
little-
things take a turn for me. This is
although
I check out here.
I want to shout out to Because of Winn-Dixie, starring Dave Matthews and like other people, but Dave Matthews is what I remember for, because my daughter read the book in school and then insisted we watch the movie, and it was a lovely family experience watching that movie.
I'm
And I
gonna
didn't see it
say
when it
something
originally came out.
extreme. I'm gonna say something extreme. I don't think I've seen a single 2000s dog movie.
Well,
I'm
I saw,
aware of their
I-
existence, but I don't think
Marley
I've
and
seen
Me
a
I
single one
saw,
of these.
and
No.
that movie's not for me.
Also, we completely skipped over White Fang. Wasn't Ethan Hawke in that?
Oh yeah, we saw that
Ethan
in the
Hawke
theater
wasn't
as
that. I mean, that was
kids.
amazing. That movie's amazing. He doesn't die at the end, right?
Good.
He
So
survives
good. White
that
Fang
movie,
is
right?
so. I mean, I haven't seen it since I was. How old?
But I'm
were
pretty
you,
sure he
8?
doesn't die because I loved that
Right.
movie.
No.
That's
I don't
fantastic.
think he does. He does a lot of like saving and I don't know.
But like
walking
I'm
around.
seeing that there's like a Benji from 2018, a White Fang from 2019.
I'm sure the
18, I
Benji
mean.
from 2018
Ugh,
is probably
enough.
lovely. I'm sure that's probably lovely.
Maybe,
Because
but
think
like,
about it, that Benji probably doesn't have. Maybe
like
it does have
terrifying
murder,
70s
kidnapping.
thing.
Yeah, a young
But
woman
yeah,
being
that's
seduced by an older man who has a.
am I
criminal
going to go
ring.
on a limb and say, is this one of Ethan Hawke's first films?
No.
Okay.
No, 'cause he- as a
this
little
is
kid,
after
he was-
Reality Bites.
Yeah, he,
No?
as a-
White Fang is not after. No way.
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Is
Reality
it?
Bites 94.
No, it's
Yeah.
after Dead Poet. It's
Yeah.
before reality. It's
Ethan Hawke's been around
White
since he
Fang
was
is
a little kid.
91.
Oh wow! So it's way before
Anyway,
Reality
yeah.
Bites. Oh, I stand to be corrected.
Oh,
I thought
wow. Because he was.
Wow,
now that I think about it, he
Lily.
was
It's his
kind of
fifth
a.
movie.
He was kind of a
good
child.
guess, Lily.
was kind
He's a
of
kid. He's a kid in it.
Oh right, he was in Explorers.
Explorers,
The movie
yeah.
with the
That's
he
his
was a
first
child
movie.
actor. He was a child actor like of the Brat. I guess he's Brat. Maybe I guess he's Brat Pack, sort of younger. Anyways, but he was a child actor of the River Phoenix age group.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when
then-
we go to Rex, I want to get back to talking some Ethan Hawke. Okay, so the 2000s, we don't really care that. What about so I like this category, which is evil dogs. Okay, the tell me if any of
Yeah.
these resonate with you. The Hellhounds from Ghostbusters, because that's what they call them.
Those
or
those are
or
those
they
for
say-
sure
They're pretty
resonate.
cool.
Who brought the dog? Right when
Who brought the
Who
dog to the
brought
party?
to the party. Then and they brought them back so well in Ghostbusters after.
They did.
The zombie dogs from Resident Evil. Have you all ever seen the first Resident Evil? That's a pretty cool.
Yeah, but I don't care.
I've
about
seen
those dogs.
one of them, and they are terrifying.
They fight.
Yeah, sure.
There's Cujo. I never watched that, but I really enjoy in Ghostbusters Afterlife how it's the only movie that the kids have to watch in school.
I have
And-
seen Cujo. Also, Cujo is referenced in Friends. That's a big thing in Friends, also. But I have seen Cujo, and it is terrifying. That movie, I saw it in my 20s, and I thought it was very scary.
And that's just like a dog that gets rabies, right? It's not like a
That's just like
superhuman
a
dog, right?
crazy dog
Yeah, that
terrorizing
gets-
this woman and
but
her
it-
kid. I just
and
remember they're
it's a Saint
hiding in the car.
Bernard.
They have to get out of the car. Oh my God.
But
it
it's
is so
just
scary.
rabies. It's like not some zombie thing.
But it's
or-
like an extreme case of rabies. It's like
I
a
mean,
rabies worst
clearly.
case scenario.
Worst case scenario, I guess.
It's not like a little bit of rabies. It's all the rabies. Like,
anyways, I mean, to me, the concept of it is terrifying. Then there were the predator dogs in the Predator, like the most
Stephen
recent Predator
King.
movie, where the predator lands on Earth and it has like pet predator dogs.
It's so
I don't
dumb.
remember. I didn't see that, but
And then in Alien 3, the alien
I saw it
comes
and
out
it's
of a dog.
extremely dumb.
It was very dumb.
So
But
all of these
love Alien 3,
are
but-
seem like interesting evil dogs, with the exception of the alien one.
Yeah, well, it's not really a dog. It's just the alien kind of is dog-like. It's called the mutt alien because it comes out of a dog and it kind of absorbs some of its.
What? Just skip.
Okay.
Next.
Any other evil
Next
dogs?
category.
No other evil
Done.
dogs?
No, because I don't want to ever see a dog be evil. Like, sorry, I'm done.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
that's
ever
fine.
want to feel this pain.
All right, let's talk some animated dogs. All right. I have like two categories. I have the just regular animated dogs and then like old-timey animated hero dogs. All right. So we've got the fat dog from Up,
Whose name is Doug.
Doug. Okay. All right.
And I don't know how you could
Doug,
talk
as
about
in-
Doug and not Alpha and the other gang
The other
of
gangs.
dogs.
I mean,
They're great.
look,
All those dogs are great. I
They-
love
All those dogs.
Shai
are great.
hates
And
that
Doug
movie,
is
but
wonderful.
but like the
wow,
what
the
is
Doug
that
show
movie
that they have
about?
on Disney Plus. I love that.
That movie is about finding your sense of
Following your-
adventure, but
and
more
following your
following your
dreams.
dream, finding your sense of adventure, but more than that, people. Oh no, that's why Shai hates the movie. People are more important. The people in your life that you love are more important than anything else, any object,
No,
anything.
no,
I love all
things.
the people in my life, but
People
it's not
and
like
adventure.
a zero-sum thing. But the point is that 50% of
Don't make
that
me
movie
choose people
is,
over things.
50% of that movie is like the secret life of pets. Like there's like a dog and a bird.
No,
and,
they have collars that let them talk to humans.
Which is amazing.
all right,
And
101 Dalmatians.
Kevin the dog,
There's
the
a
bird
very
that ends up
funny
being a
episode
mommy
of-
at the end.
There's a very funny episode of Doug Days, which is the television show.
That's
on
a great
streaming.
rec if anybody's listening.
I'd
Doug
watch
Days
a
is great.
Doug-based show. I'd watch a Doug
There
Days.
is on Disney Plus.
So they're
It's
short. They're
fantastic.
5-minute episodes or something on Disney Plus
It's adorable.
of Doug and Carl living their life now. And in one of the episodes, I think
Alone
Russell
with no
comes
stuff
by.
to remind him of his wife.
No, and Russell comes by. I think it's Russell. I forget what it is. But anyways,
It's
they end
Russell.
up giving the collar, Doug's collar, to a bunch of different animals that are in the backyard. So a squirrel gets it and a bird gets it and all these different wild animals. You get to hear all of their inner thoughts. And it's
Oh,
very
that's
cute.
cool. I like that. That's
Yeah.
great. That's very cool. All right, 101 Dalmatians. The original. I mean, I guess the remakes are
Well,
considered.
so
Okay, let's be
the-
honest.
the-
There's
the birth
101, but
of
there's
the
only
best-
5 you care about.
And there's only one that matters, who gave birth to the best line in cinematic history that Becky and I repeat
But
constantly.
I'm hungry,
I'm
mother.
hungry, mother.
I really am.
Yeah.
Roly,
But
you
Roly,
just
you've
had-
just had your supper.
I'm hungry.
I'm
Mother. I
hungry.
really-
I'm
I thought his name was
hungry.
Pongo.
No, the fat one, the fat
Pongo.
puppy
What,
who wants a
Pongo and
second
Dungo?
dinner is literally Becky and
Roly.
me every night after dinner. We say that to each other all the time. I'm hungry,
I'm
mother.
hungry, mother.
But
I
you just had
really
your
am."
supper, Roly.
Is it
The
what?
best.
I don't remember anything about that movie.
Because there's like a
overwhelmed
few
by the
puppies
number
that
of
you
Dalmatians.
follow. There's,
Oh,
yeah, because
can
there's
I
a
just
few
tell you,
puppies that you
the
follow.
hardest moment is when they're trying to escape and they're in the storm and one of them is just shivering and he gets caught, but he gets like separated from the pack and he's shivering, he's gonna freeze to death and Pongo has to run back and save him. It's very emotional.
I mean, it's just,
I give the
It's
movie
also,
credit
like,
for
it's-
stakes.
yeah, like 101. I mean, it's a lot. But I think it's a classic.
But
They
I like
started
this,
a Dalmatian plantation.
I do I do like the stakes that if they lose in that movie, they will be skinned alive.
And made into coats.
made into what a dog coat. It's just so strange.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Lady and the Tramp. I'm not the biggest Lady and the Tramp fan,
Ugh,
but it is a wonderful movie.
Oh my God. It's
romantic.
It's worth a
it's
rewatch.
wonderful.
It's worth
it
a
is.
rewatch.
I mean,
Dated
it's a
and a
little
little
bit
bit racist.
but
Yeah.
besides
Yeah,
the
it's worth a
racist
rewatch
part,
just
which
to, like,
didn't they take
see where
the
it
they
lands for
I think
you.
they took the song out of the Siamese song out of the new version that they re-released. I think that's not in the new version anymore.
No, in the remake, in the live action remake,
No, not the live action. I think when they like re-released the cartoon.
oh, when they released
No,
cartoon?
but Disney just does a disclaimer in front of any of their older things that says
So maybe
these
it's the live
depictions were made at a
action.
certain time, and they're
So maybe
icky,
it's just a
but
live
it's
action that they
important.
took it out.
It's
of.
important
They
to leave it
didn't read
in and talk about it, understand them, and
why we were racist. But I don't know about the
think it's
live version,
still-
but the original, to me, I love, holds up to me.
And okay, and then we talked about All Dogs Go to Heaven. You
It's
don't
a
like
terrible
that one.
movie.
I never saw Oliver and Company, but Billy Joel. I mean, or I did, and I don't really
It's a
remember that well.
cat.
No,
Isn't
but
that a
Billy Joel
cat?
plays the dog. He plays the artful
Oh.
Dr. Dog.
All right.
Why would
guess.
I worry? Anyway. And then there's some old timey animated hero dogs I love.
There
You gotta give it up for
too many. There are too many old timey dogs. I just looked it up. It's then you're not even putting in Pluto and Goofy and
I thought Goofy was
that
a
other
cow.
one.
No, Goofy's
What?
a dog.
Goofy's a dog.
He's a dog.
So he has his own species
Wait,
as a pet.
Oh wait, hold on
Pluto
a
is a
second,
dog
Becky.
and Goofy is a dog. And the big thing that
Goofy
no one
is a
understands
dog,
is
right?
why does Pluto act like a dog, but Goofy wears clothing and talks like a human? And then isn't there Bluto? Goofy's
Oh, on the
nemesis
internet,
/
is
friend?
Goofy a dog or a cow?
He's a
Bluto- no,
dog because
Bluto-
in Goofy movie
Bluto
they're
is-
dogs.
Pluto's from
No,
Popeye.
he's a dog. I'm just saying that Shai's not the only one who had this debate. I mean, I know he's a dog, but
Isn't
I'm
his
saying
girlfriend a cow?
his girlfriend is a cow.
Okay, all right, that's very.
He's a confused character if you think about it.
okay,
But he
well,
is a cow.
all right,
His
so
girlfriend's a cow. He
But
marries her.
I think Scooby Doo, the old Scooby Doo show. I have a memory of seeing a Scooby Doo episode at Mrs. Goodman's house, where one of our friends, I don't know, one of those situations where mom and dad are like, so and so will pick you up, and you'll go to their cooking class with them at one of your teacher's houses. Right? That's a
What?
recipe for Corman disaster. That's all I can say.
What?
Yeah,
never had
I
that.
had to go to the
Because
house
I wouldn't go to anyone's house.
of this teacher with kids that were all older than me, and they were making sloppy joes, and
Ew. Ugh.
and I just definitely
They were
pulled the anxiety
making
pin and was
sloppy
like, I
joes.
can't do this. So they
Me
plopped
too.
me-
There's no way I would have been able to do this.
they plopped me in front of the TV, and Scooby Doo was on. And I'm like,
Smart.
fine, watch the Scooby Doo. But it was the most terrifying vampire episode of Scooby Doo ever, and
Of
I
course
left in
it
the middle.
was.
And to this day, I still have nightmares about this woman turning into a vampire, and I can never find out which episode it is. So I don't know how it ends. It makes me crazy.
Hmm.
But Scooby Doo's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
Hong Kong Phooey, I think, is awesome.
I don't know.
fun.
I don't know.
Hong Kong
don't know
Phooey
that
is,
one.
I think, a 70s thing and super, super, super dated, but had an amazing theme song. And then I think one of the greatest is Snoopy versus the Red Baron.
That's a great. We had the album.
Ah, yeah. Well, that was a song made by the Royal Guardsmen, but we had the Peter Pan Singers version of it.
Oh, love that song.
It was amazing. And there's a series of songs. Those guys doubled down. There's a Snoopy versus the Red Baron Christmas. There's Snoopy. Yeah.
I never got Snoopy. I don't get it.
He
It's
doesn't
hard to
talk,
understand. The peanuts
right?
are, I mean, Snoopy is very strange. And then he has his cousin.
His bird. Who's the
No,
bird?
he's Woodstock, the bird. Yeah.
Woodstock the bird.
It's
Right.
super strange.
But I think we could close out with the TV dogs. Because
Well, I want to give a shout out to these more sort of hellacious movies is the best way to describe it.
right. Sorry.
So, but all movies that I really enjoyed. The ones that I've seen,
I mean, honestly, give me one. We basically only talked about the past. These schlocky pieces of shit are from the last 20 years.
yeah. So first of all, Show Dogs
There's
with Will
nothing
Arnett and
good.
Natasha Lyonne. I took my kids to the theater to see it, and that one definitely has a lot of CGI animals talking. I'm pretty sure my kids didn't. I don't know. I have a fond memory of taking my kids, but Allie definitely was like, "You're on your own on that one." Then there's I got to shout
Again,
out
I think this is a whole category
to
of
Alun and his
dog
boy.
movies I've never seen.
Alun and his boys. I went to visit them, and the boys were watching the Air Bud movies. So there's Air Bud, which I guess is
we
a
could blame
dog
the
that plays
90s. That's
basketball.
that's
But then
97.
There's endless numbers of sequels, including Space Buddies, where the dogs go to space,
Oh God.
and
Those
they
poor
have
golden retrievers.
the big circular helmets, astronaut
Hey,
helmets,
C
and
Block.
then
I was just
Spooky
saying, well, there's
Buddies.
one dog movie we haven't talked about yet.
Halloween House.
C Block. If you can see Vlad.
I'll put that in my Rex and shout out. I'll put that at the end. I'll do
Yeah.
that.
Which
My
one?
Rex.
I recently,
what are we
C
not
Block.
talking
I
about?
just C Block, Vlad's dog movie that he made. It's on YouTube. You can see it. I just watched it the other day.
Well,
It's
I
amazing.
will have to link it in the show notes. I'll find it for you guys.
Because it's
All right.
amazing.
So TV dogs. This is a great idea. Okay, so tell us about the TV dogs.
Well, I love this list.
Well, it's a very short list. There's a billion TV dogs. I tried to stay away from animated ones. There's a couple in there, but I think the most mysterious TV dog of all time is Comet from Full House, who was a puppy. Then I think in the next episode is fully grown, and then he's never seen again.
Every once in a while, they lose.
Every once in a while, there's like a Comet. Eddie, of course, from Frasier.
Eddie's
being one of the most famous.
I think
dogs.
he's the best one on that list.
And then I just put a couple of my favorites. There's so many out there, but I'm shy Veronica Mars. Remember, she has the pit bull, the dog in the TV show.
I have to say, I don't remember that.
She's the dog that goes with her. Like when she sneaks out and does like stakeouts and stuff, the dog's always with her to protect her.
I don't know.
And then Cheddar from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is one of the funniest running bits of that show. Is Cheddar?
It's such a great name
Cheddar.
For
it's Holt's dog.
Dog,
and that
but that's such a great name for a dog.
I have affection for Santa's little helper from The Simpsons because I
right,
remember the episode where that dog is
so bad for him. I feel so bad for that dog.
I mean, that family really mistreats its animals. It's terrible. I put a question out on Twitter, and the great Gato, one of our all-time favorites, sent an awesome list. So I just want to make sure to shout out to some of his favorites here. So Turner and Hooch, White Fang, Benji the Hunted. That's the third of the Benji movies. The Fox and the Hound. I don't remember that well, except for him going, "I'm a hound dog."
Yeah, but I cried. Somebody dies. I don't know. I didn't like that movie as a kid.
My kids were asking about it, and I was like, "The fox eats the hound, guys. We're not watching it." I don't know if that's what happens, but I told them. Beethoven, Togo. I haven't seen that one. The Call of the Wild. I haven't seen. That's the Harrison Ford one recently.
That's the recent one. I read the book as a kid, but it's an intense movie. I mean, an intense book. I don't know how the movie is. Do they CGI Harrison Ford and the dog? Or just the dog?
I mean, Harrison Ford's pretty old in this movie.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's do our shout outs. And Rex, my first shout out going to be to Gato for sending all these awesome dog movies. And I definitely want to watch Bingo, the circus dog movie. What about and then I'll just go into what I've been watching. So we were talking about Ethan Hawke before. I have been watching Moon Knight on Disney and continuing to watch it. And I've been reading the comics, and I read the comics that seem to be where they've pulled a lot of inspiration for the show. And so I think I understand the show a lot more now, and I really like it. And I really like Ethan Hawke and Oscar Isaac in it. They are pretty fantastic in that show. I watched all of Party Down. This is all like 6 shows. I watched all of Party Down.
Oh, wow. You watched the whole thing.
I watched the whole thing, and that show's amazing.
It's great.
And Mythic Quest. So I talk about Mythic Quest a lot. It's on Apple TV. That is
I'm glad I recommended it to you.
It's about this video game company. I don't know how much of it. Have you watched both seasons?
No.
What that show does really well, it has very funny workplace comedy, and then it goes like into very deep emotional like growth space. And
takes a turn.
It's actually like an intense show when you get through the halfway point of every season so far. So, and I'm impressed. Rob McElhenney and Charlotte Nicodeau, who are the kind of the main forces in the show, are pretty phenomenal when they have to go from being hilarious to dramatic on a dime. So, and Danny Pudi's like hilarious. Get it? So that's what I'm watching.
I have one episode left to finish, Starstruck season 2. I highly recommend that show. It's so delicious. It's like Notting Hill, but reversed. And who doesn't want that spread out over 2 seasons? Come on. It's great. And I can't wait to see what else the actors from that show, who I obviously don't know their names, the stuff that they'll be in and like what they'll be doing next. I hadn't seen them before. I can look it up, but yeah, it's Rose Matafale and Nikesh Patel, who are the main actors, but it's also Emma Seedy, Al Roberts. There's a bunch of really funny people in it. It's great. And then I had the privilege of watching the first few episodes of Selling Sunset with Becky and Allie.
I mean, watching those first 2 episodes together might go down as one of my greatest
Favorite,
TV
yeah.
watching experiences.
What
of
I
all
have to
time.
say, like, I appreciated the amount people were willing to pause every time I said pause. Like, no one ignored.
I mean,
every time
how
I was like,
often we
"Pause."
had to rewind and pause and inspect outfits
It was, and like, it was a
and
free
watch
reign.
people
Anytime
trip on their high
somebody,
heels,
which was multiple times, every time someone said pause, it was like, okay, tell us what you saw. And I was not shamed for that, not one time, because if there's one person who loves to pause a show, it's me. So, because I don't want to miss anything, but I do need to talk a lot. Each episodes are like 35 minutes, and it took us 2.5 hours to watch them. It was
My nightmare.
glorious.
Glad I was,
It was-
so sick I had to sleep.
It was glorious
you
and
should ask
so
Vlad
much
about it.
fun.
We made him
watch it last night.
What?
Yeah, and he
That guy
100%
doesn't like
was paying
Guillermo del
attention.
Toro. I'm still hung up on that, and he watched this.
funny.
out of his side of his eye. So yeah, I think I haven't had much time to watch anything else,
I
but
feel like side eye is the
Um,
only way to watch this with you guys. Oof. Okay, that's
I
cool.
think
All
I'm
right,
pretty sure that's it.
and Beck, how about you?
So in addition to that, I mean, I've been watching Selling Sunset and Moon Knight, but I am going to rack C Block, which we will put a link in the show notes. Maybe I'm saying we are, but
do we know where to find
yeah,
it?
I sent it to you. That
Okay,
is the
good.
short film, hand-drawn animated film that my husband Vlad made 15 years ago. And it's
amazing.
so beautiful. And it's about a dog. And it's about a dog
It's
who will go to
gorgeous.
great lengths to be reunited with his favorite chew toy. And it is truly a special short
It
film.
reminds
So-
me a lot of your actual dog, because your dog,
Yeah.
when you walk in the door, your dog,
She goes and
greets
gets her
you. She
chicken.
gets her chew toy and she shows you.
She just shows
Yeah.
it to you. Goes,
Oh,
I have a chicken. And then she goes away. And then,
sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
so I made a mistake. The main character from Starstruck, the actress is from New Zealand, not Australia. Sorry.
Oh, and then the other thing I want to
check.
wreck this week, Shy, get ready to be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But your episode of Finding Favorites that you guest host with Katie Jones
Nice.
about reality
Oh,
TV
that was
is
fun.
off the charts. That is such a phenomenal. She is so complex and
Katie
so
is
deep.
Truly one of the best guests that you could ever have for a podcast.
The lens
And-
through which she views reality TV, I have to say, gives it a lot more complexity
meaning?
than anyone else. Than you might.
We had her on our pod a while ago. Maybe we need to bring her back.
We need to
I think
bring
we need to
Katie
bring her
back. But
back.
Katie
She
also
is
she
so
comes
special.
with notes. Like, she just comes loaded. It's
She's making
fantastic.
connections between
and I will
things.
say during that
throwing
episode,
out Rex and
there are a couple times where, like, the games we played, I threw them to her on the spot. She had not, there was barely an outline to it. I would just say, okay, I'm going to give you this, you give me that. And Katie is just ready to go.
She brought it. She brought it.
Amazing guest.
That's a great. Those are my
People should
two
have
Rex.
Katie just on
this
their
week.
shows.
I never watched more than Moon Knight that we watched I only watched the first maybe
Well,
I feel like you
episode
really
or
like
two.
excited
the
to
show,
watch a
even
new
though it
ep
doesn't make any
tonight.
sense.
Oh, okay. So I was gonna watch. Should I quit or keep going?
No, I think it is.
Because I walked in on you watching it, Shy. I popped into your house to grab a mask, and I could
there was
see
a
from the
hippo?
kitchen, and there was a gigantic hippo on the screen, and I was like, "This
So,
may have jumped the
Spoiler
shark."
alert.
Well, the hippo.
Okay, yeah.
I-
like, what the fuck does
no,
that mean?
The hippo.
Spoiler
The hippo
alert.
seems to play a role in the. Okay,
It was a giant CGI hippo. I don't know how
I
that could be a
actually
Here's what
don't
I'm
think we
sa-
have time for this right
here's
now.
what I'm thinking
No, we
about
don't.
this show, though. Here's what
I
I'm
just
thinking about the show.
just tell
Having
me if you
read
tell
the-
me to keep going or not.
So-
That's all I'm
So
asking.
here's my
Yes or
case
no?
for Moon Knight.
And then we need
now
to
having
close it out.
read I've read about 26 Moon Knight comics, two separate runs.
I'm
with
not
different-
reading anything to watch the show. I don't want
different
homework.
interpretations of the mythology. But what like I there were points in it, like with the show, where I'm like, what is going on? But then once it resolved enough that I was like, oh, that was really smart and interesting. I suspect that this show, you have to be hooked in by Oscar Isaac and Ethan Hawke being great, and then trust, I hope, we'll see what happens at the end, but trust at the end it's going to make a lot more sense once it's all wrapped
Okay.
up, because it is purposefully confusing, because his dissociative identity disorder is part of, like, they are using that as a device to make you confused and constantly make you questioning what the reality of it is. So it is very confusing. I also will say early on in the show, we kind of complained like, hey, this is supposed to be a Jewish character. The Jewish identity of the character is threaded in a somewhat authentic way in the most recent episode
5?
as part of flashbacks. Yeah, as part of backstory. So,
Okay.
so I will say like that was honored, and it was not the same, but it was similar to the way it was
so long
done in
story
the
short, I'll
comic.
keep watching. Fine.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter. It's starting to feel inauthentic that I give that handle.
You just log in once in a while.
Because I just like, I mean, I log in once in a while. But I don't know. Can they really follow me? I mean, I exist on Twitter.
Okay.
All right. You can follow me. Same kind of deal. CHICHI Gomez. Chichi K Gomez on Twitter.
You can follow me at Pancake and the number 4 table, Pancake 4 table on Twitter and Instagram. If you'd like my sisters to respond to something, just let me know and I'll tell them to open their app. You can follow the organizations that we support in our show notes. Becky wants to add something.
I feel like when the demand is there, I'll either be on Twitter more, or I'll start another account somewhere that's public that people can reach me. It doesn't feel like the demand is there to engage with me.
That might be the case.
That's one way to think of it.
And all the Friday Night Movie shenanigans are at Friday Night Movie on Twitter and Instagram, and or FridayNightMoviePod.com. Join our mailing list. We've had a bunch of new subscribers lately, which is great. And rate and review us. We don't often ask to do that, but it is literally the easiest and best way you can help a podcast is on your app. Just follow. It's really, they make it as hard as possible. I think that's why it's a huge validation for a podcast. But on your app, there's a way to rate a podcast. Go in, write a nice thing about us, give us a 5-star rating. It helps us be found in search engines. Our theme music is by What Does It Eat? And we will dance our way into the evening. Love you guys. Bye.
Love you. Bye. Bye.